The team has just received some intriguing news regarding a free agent acquisition, and the ripple effects of this move are already being widely discussed. The potential for a trade to occur during the free agency window could significantly impact the team's draft strategy and overall roster. Multiple sources have highlighted that the team is considering signing a former Defensive Player of the Year to fill the void left by a recently departed starter. While his previous season was somewhat underwhelming, his experience and reliability are being viewed as valuable assets. He may no longer be a Pro Bowl caliber player, but he is still considered a solid, dependable option for the starting cornerback position. The team will have to carefully evaluate this possibility before the draft. The departure of a key player left a gap that the team has struggled to fill adequately. The cornerback in question, now 35 years old, posted decent numbers during his one-year contract with his previous team, and his coverage ratings were respectable. If the price is right, he could provide the team with a reliable starter while they focus on returning to the playoffs in the upcoming season. What makes this acquisition particularly interesting is the player's extensive experience. Over a 12-year career, he has built an impressive resume. He spent 5 years with the Buffalo Bills, 4 years with the New England Patriots, and the last several seasons bouncing between teams such as the Carolina Panthers, Indianapolis Colts, Dallas Cowboys, and Minnesota Vikings. This extensive exposure to different defensive systems and his ability to stay relatively healthy, with an average of 959 snaps per season, is certainly notable. 6 times throughout his career, he's played over 1,000 snaps in a season, which speaks volumes not just about his endurance, but also his overall physicality. While it is impressive that he has managed to stay in shape and avoid major injuries, the team's decision-making will likely take into account the fact that they have been trying to move away from players who could be injury risks. This question of risk versus reward will factor heavily into whether or not they decide to pursue him. Given his age, the team may only offer him a 1-year deal, which raises the question of whether they are truly seeking an opportunity with a veteran or just giving him a final shot to prove he still has something left in the tank. There's no denying that he remains one of the most sought-after cornerbacks on the market. His career achievements, along with his ability to stay healthy, make him a top contender for teams looking to add experience to their secondary. However, as with all free agent moves, the uncertainty about his ability to return to his peak form is a concern. His prime years came during the 2018 and 2019 seasons, and it's fair to question whether he can return to that level of play. Throughout his career, he was known as a strong defender, but his most significant contributions came during his time in New England and the early years of his career, which now seem like distant memories. The team has been focusing on building a younger roster, which makes the idea of adding a player with his level of experience somewhat contradictory to their current strategy of reducing both player age and salary commitments. That being said, there's always room for experienced players in key positions, especially when there is a pressing need. It wouldn't be surprising if the team opts for a 1-year deal with him, especially as he nears his 35-year mark. The question is whether such a deal would be a genuine opportunity for the player or merely a last chance for him to make an impact in the league. Another factor that makes this potential move compelling is the general lack of top-tier cornerbacks on the free agent market. There simply aren't many high-quality players available, and as a result, the team's options are somewhat limited. While other cornerbacks are still available, none of them have the track record that he does. In fact, it's rare to see cornerbacks with his level of sustained success available at this stage of the offseason. He's consistently been among the league's best at his position, and his reliability and experience are qualities that many teams value highly. However, the team has to weigh these positives against the reality of his declining performance in recent years. His best seasons are likely behind him, and although he may still be capable of starting for a team in need of experience, there are legitimate concerns about how much he can contribute at the highest level. The team may see him as a reliable bridge player, someone who can start in the short term while they continue to develop younger talent for the future. This could be a reasonable approach, but it's essential that the team doesn't overestimate his ability to return to elite form. It's also important to remember that the team has several other pressing needs. The departure of a key defensive starter leaves a significant gap, and the team will have to address this issue in the draft. Adding an experienced cornerback like him could help plug that hole for now, but the team's long-term plans need to focus on building a younger, more dynamic defense. The cornerback market is thin, but the team might find more value in investing their resources in a younger player with a higher upside, even if that means taking on more risk. The reality is that this acquisition, while intriguing, doesn't necessarily address the team's most urgent needs. Cornerback might not be the most pressing position they need to fill, especially when considering the lack of depth along the defensive line and at edge rusher. While cornerback is still a priority, it could be argued that other positions need more immediate attention. The team has already made some moves to trim the roster and focus on younger, more cost-effective players, and adding another veteran to the mix may not align with their long-term vision. On the other hand, it's hard to ignore the potential value of a veteran player who can come in and start immediately. Cornerbacks like him don't grow on trees, and if the price is right, it could be worth it for the team to bring him in for a short-term deal. This would provide some stability to a position that has been in flux for the team in recent years. If the team can get him at a reasonable price and for a one-year contract, it could be a win for both sides. As the team prepares for the draft and continues to evaluate its needs, the decision on whether to pursue this veteran cornerback will likely depend on how they assess their roster and the long-term direction they want to take. If they decide to go younger and focus on developing talent in the draft, it could make more sense to pass on a player like him. However, if they believe they need immediate help in the secondary, adding a proven player like him could provide the stability they need to compete next season. The next few weeks will be critical in determining which direction the team chooses to go, and it's clear that this free agent decision will play a significant role in shaping the future of the roster. As we approach the draft, the team will need to make some tough decisions about their priorities. Should they stick with their plan of rebuilding through youth, or should they take a chance on a veteran who can provide immediate help? This decision will shape the team's approach to free agency and the draft, and it's one that could have long-term implications for their success. The next steps for the team are going to be pivotal, especially considering the complex nature of their current roster and the uncertain future of their defensive lineup. The situation surrounding the veteran cornerback could be a double-edged sword. On one hand, bringing him in could provide immediate stability in the secondary, an area where the team has faced significant challenges in recent seasons. On the other hand, this could be seen as a short-term fix, potentially preventing the team from fully addressing their long-term needs, particularly at cornerback and other key defensive positions. There are valid arguments both for and against pursuing this free agent, and the team must weigh its options carefully. In addition to the cornerback situation, the team also faces a dilemma when it comes to their broader defensive strategy. The departure of a cornerstone defensive player earlier in the offseason leaves a noticeable void. While some might argue that a veteran cornerback could help fill that gap for now, there are other positions on the defense that require immediate attention as well. For example, the defensive line and edge rusher spots have been problematic for several seasons, and without significant improvement in these areas, the team could continue to struggle defensively. It's clear that the team has been attempting to address these issues, but the question remains whether they will be able to find the right solutions through free agency, trades, or the draft. When considering the draft, the team's focus seems to be shifting toward more immediate needs. With the cornerback market being relatively thin, it's possible that the team may prioritize other positions over filling the gap at cornerback. If they choose to invest in a younger, more dynamic prospect, they could potentially draft a cornerback or defensive back in the early rounds, someone who could contribute from day one. However, the team might also decide to wait and take a risk on a player later in the draft, hoping to find a hidden gem who can develop into a starter over time. In any case, the team's decision-making process will likely revolve around finding a balance between short-term stability and long-term growth. If they opt for a veteran cornerback, it could provide some much-needed help in the secondary, but it would also mean that they would have to continue to focus on building the rest of the defense through younger talent. If they decide to pass on the veteran and go after a younger player in the draft, they will have to ensure that the rookie can step into a starting role immediately and be able to contribute to the team's success right away. Another factor that could influence the team's decisions is the financial aspect of the veteran's potential signing. The team's salary cap situation will play a crucial role in how they navigate free agency and the draft. Given that the team has room to maneuver, they may be in a position to make a one-year deal with the veteran cornerback. This would allow them to bolster their defense without making a long-term financial commitment, which could be a win-win scenario. However, if the price for the veteran is too high, the team may decide to look elsewhere for help, either by drafting a cornerback or focusing on other defensive positions. Looking ahead to the draft, the team's first-round pick could be a game-changer. Many mock drafts suggest that the team could address a major need by selecting an offensive lineman or a defensive playmaker. If the team goes the route of selecting a defensive player, they could potentially pick up an edge rusher or defensive tackle who could immediately step into a starting role. This would help shore up the defensive line and provide the team with a much-needed boost in pass rush, which has been a weak point in recent seasons. The team might also look at drafting a linebacker, particularly one who is known for his ability to impact the game both in coverage and against the run. A player with these skills could be an excellent fit for the defense, giving the team more flexibility and depth at linebacker. However, there are concerns surrounding the health of some of the top linebacker prospects. One player, who is widely considered one of the best in this draft class, recently underwent surgery, and while he is expected to recover, there is still uncertainty about whether he will be ready to contribute right away. This is something that the team will need to monitor closely, as the player's health could ultimately determine whether or not he's worth the risk. Another option the team might consider is selecting a defensive end. This would address the team's edge rusher needs, providing them with a player who can consistently pressure the quarterback and disrupt the opposing offense. There is a defensive end prospect who has caught the team's attention, a player who led the nation in sacks during the previous season. This player has the size, speed, and pass rushing ability to make an immediate impact in the NFL. With a weight of around 250 pounds and standing at 6 feet 4 inches tall, he has the physical traits to excel at the next level. If the team decides to go this route, they will be getting a player who could potentially contribute right away and help transform their defense into a more dynamic unit. There is also a growing sense that the team could address the offensive line in the first round. With the struggles that the team has had in recent seasons, particularly in protecting the quarterback and establishing a strong running game, adding a top-tier offensive lineman could be a smart move. One player in particular, a tackle from Mississippi, has impressed scouts with his versatility and ability to play multiple positions along the line. Standing at 6 feet 4 inches and weighing around 300 pounds, he has the size and strength to be a force in both pass protection and run blocking. He could be a major upgrade for the team, especially if they plan to make adjustments to their offensive line in the coming seasons. As the team continues to weigh their options, it's clear that they have some tough decisions ahead of them. Whether they decide to pursue the veteran cornerback, draft a player to fill the secondary, or focus on other positions, the team's success in the upcoming season will largely depend on how well they address their needs on defense and along the offensive line. It's a delicate balancing act, and every move the team makes could have long-term consequences. As the draft approaches, the team will need to carefully evaluate their options and make the best decisions for the future of the franchise. In conclusion, the team's next steps are critical. With the draft just around the corner, every decision will shape the direction of the franchise. Whether they opt for a veteran in free agency, focus on a young prospect, or address another pressing need, the team's ability to build a well-rounded roster will be key to their success in the coming seasons. The future is uncertain, but the opportunities are plentiful. The team must now take full advantage of the resources at their disposal and make the most of the upcoming draft. The decisions they make will determine not just the success of the next season, but also the foundation for years to come. But before we dive in, don't forget to subscribe to 49ers Zone and hit the like button on this video. Your support helps us keep bringing you the latest updates on the San Francisco 49ers. And don't forget to share your thoughts on the news in the comments below. In a stunning turn of events, the San Francisco 49ers are making waves with a bold move in the NFL offseason. They're eyeing none other than Stefon Diggs, the electrifying wide receiver who has turned heads for years. The 29-year-old star, known for his jaw-dropping performances with the Buffalo Bills and, more recently, the Houston Texans, has become the focal point of a high-stakes pursuit. After a season that saw him cross the 10,000-yard milestone and notch multiple touchdowns, Diggs' future in Houston seemed uncertain following a major knee injury. Could the 49ers be the team to offer him a fresh start and an opportunity to shine once again? The 49ers' interest in Diggs is more than just about adding another weapon to their already impressive offense. With a career full of incredible moments, like the iconic Minneapolis Miracle, and a 2020 season where he led the NFL in receptions, Diggs is the type of player who could elevate San Francisco's offensive firepower to new heights. Pairing him with elite talents like Deebo Samuel and Brandon Ayuk would create a nightmare scenario for opposing defenses, leaving them scrambling to find an answer to the 49ers' newfound depth at the receiver position. But it's not just his on-field prowess that makes Diggs a prime target. It's his competitive fire and leadership that could bring a new edge to a 49ers team already brimming with playoff potential. However, the path to landing Diggs won't be easy. With the Texans holding on to him and his hefty contract, the 49ers would need to get creative navigating the trade market and salary cap intricacies to make the deal work. As the 2024 season looms, the 49ers front office is working tirelessly to put together a package that could turn the tide in their favor. If successful, the acquisition of Stefon Diggs could be the missing piece in San Francisco's Super Bowl aspirations, an addition that would send shockwaves throughout the league and leave fans dreaming of championship glory. That's it for this update. If you enjoyed the video and want to keep receiving exclusive news about the San Francisco 49ers, make sure to subscribe to 49ers Zone and give this video a like. We always look forward to hearing your comments and opinions. See you in the next video.